Good evening, everybody. My name is Darren King. I'm the city manager for the city of East Point, and we are happy to welcome you to the first of two city manager spring budget open house presentations. We'll have this one is online. Our second one will be held in person tomorrow at the City Hall Council Chambers located on East Point Street, and they'll be at 6 o'clock in the council chamber. So we invite you to come for our in-person version of the city manager spring open house budget. And I want to start out by introducing the members of our staff who are joined us here today. First, I want to introduce my deputy city manager, Ms. Denise Elias. She's waving at you right there. And I also want to introduce to you our acting finance director, Mr. Shannon Golden, who's the man right there. He goes. And also want to introduce our senior management analyst, Ms. Taffany Guffey, as well. And I want to acknowledge any of our directors who are here as well. Are there any directors here, Taffy, just to make sure?
Yes, we have, let's see, Melissa, our solid waste, I'm sorry, our water and sewer director is on. We
Okay.
have Darman Lawrence, who's the interim contracts and procurement director.
Okay.
And we have Maurice Price, IT director.
Okay.
And we have one council member Cook is on.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for our directors for being here. They will also be in attendance tomorrow at our in-person meeting, and want to acknowledge Council Member Myron Cook, who's also our budget finance committee chairman. And we're glad to have him here joining us for this evening's online session. Once again, I'll announce before when the meeting's over that we will be meeting in person tomorrow. So rest assured, if you don't have availability today, this is being recorded and you can watch this and download this online should you miss today's presentation, as well as coming to tomorrow's presentation in person. So thank you again for being with us here this evening. So we want to go ahead and we'll get started. All right. First up on our page, we want to tell you about our vision statement and our mission statement, which gives you an overview of where we are, what we see as our city, what we like to aspire to accomplish, and what our goals are. And our vision statement is the city of East Point desires to be the most sought after, safe, and diverse community in Georgia, offering small city charm with big city amenities. East Point is affordable, accessible, and connected to endless opportunities to live, learn, work, and play. Our mission statement is to provide exceptional city services that enhance the quality of life in the city of East Point. And we have also 4 value statements which we've embraced. It's engagement, moving forward, transparency, and achievement. And those are our 4 overriding value statements that we have embraced. Okay. Next page, we want to give you an overview of our city structure. We're a city that is a full service city. We provide virtually all services with the exception of gas and telephones. And so we have a very good, wide range of impact throughout our community. As you see, we have broken up our city where we have our city manager and our deputy city manager, who have a number of our departments which report underneath myself as a city manager and underneath the deputy city manager. And the deputy city manager, the departments that report to her are parks and recreation, solid waste, contracts and procurement, water resources, and public works. And then one noted adjustment to what is showing on our board there is we have included the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment, which our mayor and council approved this year with the injection of $1 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds, which would jumpstart that department in helping us to be able to provide for services for those in need. We have a section that's devoted to homelessness and addressing those residents who are in need of homelessness and housing. And we have another section devoted to the housing side of that. And then we also have included within that the incorporation of our equitable growth and inclusion strategic plan, which will be incorporated at some point in time, where we have a number of various policies and objectives we look to seek to push forward in the upcoming fiscal year and years beyond. And so you'll see more of that as we move forward. The department is just getting underway. We are just now beginning to bring more people on board. We brought on a community liaison, which was just recently hired the other day and will start in the next several weeks. And we have 2 program managers, one dealing on the homelessness side and one dealing on the housing side. And so we're excited about this department. I'm going to give kudos to our mayor and council and to all of our citizens who are helping to work together with us and helping to connect the dots between the various organizations which could be of service to our residents, as well as providing for quality of life improvements for those in dire need as well. So I'm really excited about that. And we have 4 direct reports. And those direct reports are those 4 individuals who report directly to our mayor and council members. One is the city manager, myself, and we have also the municipal court judge, Honorable Judge Rashida Oliver. We have the city attorney, which is the interim city attorney Octavius Weems, and the city clerk, which is Keisha McCullough. And there we are the 4 direct reports to the mayor and council, and ultimately our mayor and council, who are our elected body, which provides for the policy, legislation, and putting those in effect that we have to implement as staff. They report ultimately to the citizens. And so that gives you a basic snapshot. We always think it's good to include this graph so that people can get an understanding of where we are as a city and who reports to whom, and also just the layout of our city structure. Next up, we have a basic overview of our fiscal types of the budget that we have. We have our general fund budget, which are revenues that are paid from the taxes that we receive in, property taxes, sales taxes. The permits and development fees are paid for, or pays for costs that relate to, that provide paid by developers for implementing a public facility, improvements that we have, and the permitting fees that are coming through our planning department. Our fiduciary fund budget, which are assets held in trust for our employees and former employees. We have our pension fund and our investments that are underneath the fiduciary funds. We have our enterprise fund budget, which are basically fees and charges that are utilized for those particular accounts which are paid by the users of those particular funds. We have our water and sewer fund, the electric fund, the sanitation fund, and the stormwater fund. And we also have the special fund budget, which are restricted and committed to expenditures for specific purposes, such as the T-Splosh and the grants. T-Splosh, which are for the transportation special purpose local options sales tax, are paid for those individuals who utilize our roadways and provide for those funds which are injected into that. And the key difference between the special fund and enterprise fund is that the user of the governmental service doesn't pay for the service based on the actual use, which is the difference between the enterprise fund and the special fund budget. And then we have our capital improvement budget. And those are our capital improvement projects that we have that you see that may go forward within our city. And then we also have a budget plan that goes us up as far out as 5 years. And I want to tip my cap to Tiffany Guffey, Tiffany does an excellent job of helping to oversee that, providing for connectivity with our departments, and also helping to make sure that we stay within the guardrails for all of our projects, which are funded through our capital improvement budget. And so that gives you a basic layout of the fiscal year types of budget that we operate under as a city. And so I just want to give our finance director and our assistant finance director, our acting finance director, Shannon Golden, who's worked very tirelessly along with Cynthia Hammond and our staff, all our department heads. Without their work and their effort and our mayor and council, we couldn't have a budget that is balanced every year that we have every year. So I give them kudos to them for all their efforts. Next is our budget development flow chart. And every year, our finance director and his team provides for what's called the development of a budget calendar. It comes out normally at the end of the calendar year, and they'll get that at the beginning of January. And what that does, it lays out for all of our department heads the flow of what's to come for the upcoming development of our budget for the upcoming fiscal year. So there's a process that we have that goes forward. In that process, that the budget manager, the finance director, and assistant finance director make sure that everyone, including myself, knows these are the timelines we have. For example, in February, our budget manager and senior manager analysts, our finance director, they meet with the department heads for the budget review. And they go also and meet with the IT director to provide for a information technology review of what they need. Also, the HR director in that same month during February meets the department heads to have a personnel review. And it goes all the way down until we come to the point of where we have the submission of the general fund, enterprise fund, grants and capital department requests to the finance director, which takes place in March, and so on down that list. And so once we get all that in, our finance director provides for a projection of all fund revenues. The department heads, which at the point in time submit a proposed list of expenditures to our senior management analyst and our budget manager, our finance director and team. They'll have meetings with each and every single department to review what their proposed budgets would provide. And naturally, what we'll do at that point in time, we provide for changes and adjustments to the budget requests to make sure they come in line so as to make sure we have a balanced budget. At that point, we have a required submission to our city council on April 17th, and that must occur. So what happens at that point in time? On that date, our mayor and council receives a book which provides for the proposed budget book for the next upcoming fiscal year, which starts July 1 of 2023 and ends on June 30th of 2024. And so our acting finance director, Shannon Golden, who worked tirelessly with that process, provides for proposed budget book, which we have. And you can get this copy and see this online. Is that correct, Shannon? As well, you can see this online. And so that comes at April 17th. The city council provides for a review of that budget. We advertise the budget at that point in time. This advertised, I believe, twice. Shannon, is that correct? Twice we're looking at that point in time. And so we then have two public budget hearings. The first one we just had, which was on May the 15th, in which at that point in time, our acting finance director provides for the first reading of the ordinance for the upcoming FY24 fiscal year budget. We have a public hearing at that time where the mayor will announce anyone who would like to come forward and speak in favor of the budget, they can. Anyone who wants to speak against the budget, they can. So that's the first required two public hearings. The second one, if you'd like to attend, that'll be held on June the 5th at our upcoming council meeting on June the 5th. And that's at that time the council mayor adopt the budget for the upcoming fiscal year FY24. And so the second one will be held in 2 weeks from today. And so you are welcome to attend that if you like to have any comments relating to this budget and make a comment during that meeting. So that'll be held during that time. And at that point in time, the council and mayor votes to have the second reading or waive the second reading and approve that budget. And so this kind of gives you a basic snapshot of our budget development flow chart. We do also, it's important to note, have 2 fall budget open houses as well. And we usually hold those in the month of October. So once this budget is adopted, rest assured, you will have another opportunity upon which you could come before us and kind of share your thoughts on what you'd like to see us do and what you see us and want to know what we're doing in this year's budget. And so we'll have 2 fall city manager budget open house, and we'll have 2 spring budget city manager open house. And so you'll have ample opportunities to come up to have a chance to speak to us. And so we're excited about that and look forward to going through that process. Next are our 6 focus areas that we've adopted through our strategic planning process. And we'll be updating these as we meet as a team internally with our city staff. I got to give kudos to Taffany Guffey, who's been working with that endeavor. And so we're looking to do that as we move forward in the next fiscal year. But as it stands right now, our 6 focus areas are: 1, focus 1, safe and sustainable community; focus 2, innovative and high performing organization; focus 3, fiscal sustainability; focus 4, infrastructure; focus 5, economic development; and focus 6, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is what we've recently added within the last year or two, after the adoption of our equitable growth and inclusion strategic plan. And so we added this 6th one, and you see that expanding, and we have our Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment. And so those are our strategic plan 6 focus areas. Now I'm going to turn it over to our Acting Finance Director, Mr. Shannon Golden, who will give an overview of the sources of our general fund revenues, as well as going forward and talking about a couple of other areas, inclusive of where does our general fund monies go, and that portion that comes after this slide. Shannon, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Good evening, everybody. As in sources of our general fund revenues, we have property taxes for FY24 budget. Property taxes of $21,630,000, which makes up 38% of our revenues for the general fund. Our local option sales tax, or our loss, makes up 23% or $13 million. Licenses and permits makes up 5% of the budget for the general fund, or $2,748,704. We have fines and forfeitures that make up 1% at $600,000. Franchise taxes at $750,000 that makes up 1% as well. We have other taxes there. Other taxes include your insurance premium, your beverage tax, motor vehicle, mobile home, excess car, and intangibles and FIPE collections. And that all comes up to $4,900,400, which makes up 9%. Okay, charges for services make up 1%, which or $553,100. All other revenues include financing sources. Other financing sources make up $13,043,144. So our total general fund revenue for FY24 that we're proposing is $57,225,348. All right. So where does the money go in the general fund? Where do we spend these funds once we operate in the new fiscal year? Well, 4% goes to our council and city clerk at $2.4 million. That's $2,426,906. Our executive includes the mayor, the city manager, communication, legal, and it's also going to include the new Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment. That makes up 11% of the expenditure budget. That's $6,449,013. Administration includes finance, accounting, purchasing, tax, HR, building grounds, and facility operations. That's 26%, $15,068,453. Our judicial department makes up $1,400,022, or 2%. Our police department makes up 29% at $16,626,552. Our fire department makes up 14%, $243,194. Public Works makes up 4% at $2,357,313. Our Parks and Recreation department makes up 3% of our budget for the general fund of $1,906,847. And Planning and Community Development makes up 3% at $1,916,576. And lastly, we have our Economic Department that makes up 1%, and they round out the budget at $830,472, which gives our general fund expenditures of $57,225,348, which is in balance with the revenues that we're expecting to receive. So with our capital improvement plan, as you can see for FY24, it's at $57,666,660. That jump is primarily because in the prior year we had ARPA funds that kind of defrayed most of our expenditures for capital projects. But in this capital projects, you'll see that some of the projects that are included in that are the annex, the auditorium, the funding for the auditorium at $14 million, I think the rec center at $5 million. And also you have T-Splosh projects that will be about $14 million. And here on this slide, I depict the capital improvement program. As you can see by asset category, we have art in the city of $45,000. We have buildings that Nesta Rec Center at 5 million, funding to be projected at 5 million initially. Building improvements includes the auditorium, but it's at 15,910,748. We have machinery and equipment that our various departments need to purchase throughout the year to replace old equipment, 940,962. We're also replacing older vehicles with newer ones at $520,000 for the fiscal year. Our technology upgrade from our IT department rounds out at 708,710. Our park improvement, $120,000. Roadways and pavements, that's our T-Splosh, 14,989,740. And then we have our public utilities that includes water, sewer, electric, stormwater, and sanitation at 19,431,500. And then there we also have the breakdown of the CIP by department. You can see public safety there is at 589,807. Public services, 17,740,643. Culture and recreation, 19,196. Public utilities, 19,431,500, and then our information technology at 708,710. And I'll turn it back over to the city manager. Oh, you're muted, Darren.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Shannon. This is our department head contact list, and we welcome you to, by all means, feel free to reach out to them if you have any questions. These are their email addresses for each of them, and they could give you a little more details about any particular programs they may have. We just recently added on our new communication director, Ms. Ganetta Griffin, who joined us about a week or so ago, and she's hit the ground running. And so there, along with all of her name, along with all of our other directors, are listed on the list there. All right, now that's our complete slide presentation. And thank you guys. We're really excited about this upcoming year that we've got for our programs and our projects and developing our city even further and going forward. And so we're looking forward to that. And we'll now open it up for questions.
Darren and Shannon, we do have a couple of questions. One is the 23%, all other revenues. What would that include?
Shannon, go ahead and answer that for 20% for that particular one. Go back to that slide too, if you need to.
Let me unmute myself there. And
There you go.
And we need to go back to the slide.
Yep, the
Yes.
slide that was showing the percentage.
There you go.
Let's see. I think it's this one, Shannon. Wait. Is it this one? It's the one that has all other revenues. It's
It
right
might
here.
be the one before, yeah.
I think it's this one.
There we go. There it
This
is.
one?
Yes.
So what was, I'm sorry, Daphne, what was the question?
The question was, what does the all other revenues include?
Okay, so the all other revenue includes your transfers in. We also have indirect transfers. Also, you have it's primarily mostly those in your indirect costs.
Okay,
And Shannon, define what the indirect costs are so those people who will understand what that means.
So it's where we take our centralized services, right? That's our administration, and we charge that to other other funds such as electric, water and sewer, solid waste, and stormwater, and all the other funds that we process those operations, like for financing, for payroll, for HR. So they pay back into the general fund those prospective indirect costs. Respective indirect costs.
okay. And that was from Carrie. If you have any more questions with that, then you could just type it in and I'll ask that. The next question is what technology upgrades will we be getting? And I know we have Maurice on. So Darren, if you would like, I can have Maurice answer that question.
Yes, we had some good stuff to put in there. Maurice, I'll let Maurice talk a little bit about, I'll jump on in because we do have some great things that we're going forward with several departments. Maurice, go ahead. Can you unmute Maurice?
Yep.
There he is. Maurice, can you
Hey.
hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon. Yeah, so for us, what we're going to be doing is looking to implement some items for Wi-Fi for the annex location. And also we're looking to increase our, security. And we also need to fix some items within our email infrastructure and different things within IT's infrastructure that we'll be improving. And yeah, those are the technology we'll be looking at.
Maurice, now one thing I know I want to let everyone know too. One thing we're looking to is for providing for free broadband at some point in time. Where that's a very ambitious goal, and that's something that you've been working on. I think I'm fine with you letting people know what your plan is on that because that is something that we like to provide as we expand our footprint.
Yes, so yes, Darren, thanks. So we're also looking at the broadband program to have what we call a municipal broadband. And that program, we're looking to, look for a solution that would provide the broadband in, areas for East Point that, areas that are underserved, communities, as well as that need the broadband, as well as that will give us the infrastructure for businesses and East Point as a whole. For us, for our infrastructure to have that service throughout so we could provide, smart cities and so forth. So we're looking to do that with a group called Foresight, and they do a lot of the broadband solutions, and we're looking to develop a master plan for the broadband master plan. And in that plan, we're just, at some point, we will definitely partner with different vendors that can help us provide that solution.
That's great, Maurice, and I know that that's something you've been looking forward to. That's one of your dream projects.
Definitely.
And I definitely want to tell that one because the digital divide that exists in so many communities across the country. It's important to note that we're trying to aggressively go out and compete in an area where those residents can come here and have access and not have to worry about being able to connect. Because so much now, as we've seen with COVID-19 and we're coming out of it, so many people could only connect by way of the digital methods of which they had, and those who didn't were at a disadvantage. So that's something we see now as we're starting to come out. We're still dealing with COVID, but we're starting to come out of it somewhat. We want to have that capability to give those our customers, our residents, the ability to connect.
Yes, that's correct, Aaron. And, like that broadband overall for East Point, we have a lot going on, and the broadband is only going to help us to improve, connect the different technologies, to connect communities, and to, like you said, have the ability to access Wi-Fi in the municipal, within the city of East Point. Once we, map it out, we'll be able to help those areas.
Awesome. Maurice, while we have you on, there is another technology question.
Sure.
Does the city have any smart city technology initiatives in the works or under consideration?
That's a very good question. So to be honest, I think the beginning of that smart city is really to look at our infrastructure, and the broadband is really the backbone of that. So working with partners, working with different people to help us to develop and have a good, solid broadband, fiber infrastructure that can deliver that, through fiber or through wireless. We need to have that infrastructure in place. And then definitely we could, look at what are the technologies that we can attach to that broadband solution, because that's the backbone of smart cities.
But I do have to give you some more credit, Maurice. Remember, we do have some technology which you've started to dabble in. One is dealing with the shot spotters, which is one that you have that the police use right now. And in other cities, we had one city that actually had called our chief and said, hey, we know that you all have been utilizing this. And we want to see what we can do because it is a technology now that has been, people are starting to become more aware of. And also the camera system in certain intersections, things of that nature. That's
Yes.
another area that you've already started to dabble into as well. And you're looking to find the right vendor for that.
Correct. We are.
Okay, you're in the hot seat tonight, Maurice. We have some more
No,
IT questions.
that's all good.
Technology,
It's all good.
technology is
It's all good.
very important. And I got to give him his kudos because those are areas that you have been looking at over the past couple of years. So I didn't want you to leave without mentioning those items because those are items that you're doing right now.
Yes.
Okay, so
Well-
the next one, oh, I'm sorry, Maurice.
No, go ahead, Tiffany. Sorry.
Are we going to improve the website? They make software programs that will find broken links for you automatically. That will be something we need.
Yeah, definitely coming on board, joining the team. We will definitely look from the ground up. We want to consider items, what we call UX, which is user experience, and the UI is what means the user interface, how it works with you. We did do some work. You probably don't know what we did in the back end, but we did clean up a lot of the things that were broken on the website, like the accordion, which has to do with like mobile devices that can't pull down certain things and forms. And I have had them, we cleaned up the back end, certain things that you can't see in the back to make the website smoother. But yes, we will have an initiative to build the website from the ground up with the technology that interconnects, think about things, consider people with, vision, audio, just different items that will cater to our citizens and make sure that they have good service and a good experience, because the website experience needs to be rich. And so we do see that, and we have been noting everything that everybody has been giving us feedback. And, our web person, she's known for, user experience, and we understand we're going to go through it and get everybody's feedback on what they like and build the website from the ground up.
And I want to add on that too, if there are citizens who know of any sites that they want us to take a look at, we're open to looking and seeing what are some other organizations utilizing and considering that, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to get better. And so if there's anything that they'll see that they'd like us to investigate that they may think would be a user-friendly experience that they've seen, by all means, let us know, and we would be happy to have them look at it, because that's something we've talked about as well. So I'm glad they've asked that.
Yeah, and just to kind of dovetail and piggyback off of what you're saying, Darren, just so you know where we're at and our mind is with this whole website and IT, we're really competitive. So I told my web person, I said, I want an award. We want an award for the website. We're looking at the Davies Award, and we want it to be recognized, and we want an award for that site. So that's our goal. We're going in looking to make that website, presented and award-winning website.
I've heard the Davies. I'm not sure what that is, but I heard the name. I'll take that award too. Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Okay, the next question, what % of residents are underserved with broadband access?
Maurice, do we have that number? Go ahead.
So
Go ahead, Maurice.
That's a very good question. And that's why we need to have, we're going to work on the broadband master plan, because we're going to go out and we'll survey. In Foresight, we'll go out, we'll survey and see what's going on, like where are the gaps, where are people underserved, where they're not getting access to broadband. And so, to be honest with you, we need to collect, data. We can only do that with a true, a survey that really collects from different residents in different areas, businesses, and see like what do you have now, and what are your challenges, and why do you have that challenge, and see, get the data, the analytics on that.
I love that, Maurice. That's a good point. That was a great question. And it is one that we definitely want to get answers to. So you're going to go out, and what is the timeline for Forsyth coming on board? I know you can't say the timeline when they're going to do, but what's their timeline for joining the team and coming on board? Do you have a timeline for that yet? Or are you establishing that?
Yeah, we're working on that with them. We're working on the process to bring them on board to get the agreement.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Okay, and I hope the attendees don't mind, but I'm jumping around on questions that are for our directors while we have them on. there was one about water and sewer. Oh, here it is. We have had a lot of deferred maintenance in our water and sewer, as well as a lot of flooding. I know we are going after grants. How much money are we using to improve this? And I'm going to move Melissa over so she can answer that as well, if she's still on. Yes. Melissa, can you hear?
Yes, can you see me?
We can
Yes,
hear you.
we can hear you.
Oh, is that good enough? Okay,
Yes.
maybe you don't need to
That's
see
good
me.
enough. That's good. Yeah,
Okay,
that's good enough.
so good evening. So yes, we do have a lot of deferred maintenance. We have went for as much federal infrastructure funding. We received 1.6 million for FY23 and FY24 for water treatment plant upgrades and water line installation. We are also currently have requested a $15 million federal infrastructure grant for additional water and sewer line replacement as well. We are still actively looking for as many grant opportunities as we can. The other thing that we also have done was the municipal option sales tax that was voted in by our residents. So we've already sent flyers in people's utility bills indicating which streets we will rehabilitate for water and sewer infrastructure first. And we also will be looking at key areas of funding for doing some type of capital improvement program to reduce flooding in areas where we have undersized storm drain systems.
Melissa, I'm so happy you mentioned that, because that most was highly sought after by us. At one, only Atlanta had gotten it at one point. Now we have it. Hapeville and College Park have it. And
Yes.
we already are seeing the fruits of that. We've already started collecting money from that, and that's going to jumpstart our whole process for improvements. That's exciting.
Yeah, so we've received now close to $2.1 million. If people have been watching the city council agenda, we have issued contracts to vendors for painting the plant, new rehabilitating a portion of the plant as well. New water lines, new sewer as well. So definitely the projects are underway. And we will also try to quarterly put out a newsletter regarding the most projects, where they're located. Update also a GIS map, an interactive map that people can go on the website and see the projects and the cost and how it will benefit the residents.
That is exciting. And, I didn't realize just how big a jump that would make. And we haven't even gotten that for a year. And that's already what we've received. That's great.
Yes. And so we did put signs out as well. So many residents
Yes, that's
will
right.
see most signs in the roadway for water, sewer, and storm. So you may actively see contractors out placing those signs in the right of way to let you know that a municipal option sales tax project is underway for your area or your street.
That is great.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
There was one that I missed for Maurice. Maurice, I didn't hear improvements on the software for obtaining permits, scheduling inspections, etc. And I'm assuming this is about BSNA, probably.
For permits, that's planning and zoning.
Right. Improvements on the software used to obtain permits.
Oh, read that question again.
Can you repeat that?
Yes.
Go ahead, Richard.
Yes. I didn't hear improvements on the software for obtaining permits, scheduling inspections, etc. That's all they put, but I'm assuming they're talking about the recent issues we've had with BSNA.
Yeah, there's
Really
nothing.
a question.
There's nothing wrong with BSNA online. The issue we had was more of something that was long outstanding in our environment that we corrected. And so there's nothing wrong with BSNA online. It's solid. It's good. BSNA as a whole, we're up to date with BSNA technology, and we would work with them closely to keep things up and running and new technology that they have coming out, software and training. So
Okay.
Maurice, those were items that have been corrected, and they were just recently. Is that correct, Maurice? Is that
yeah. has been corrected in our infrastructure. Again, back to my point, infrastructure, we've been, my team, we've been going in and just cleaning up a lot of stuff in the infrastructure. So yeah, that was an item that we had to correct in our infrastructure. And we had an awesome team, awesome vendors to help us fix the issue with Cisco and our different vendors. And so.
All right. Thank you, Maurice.
Mhm.
Okay, when was the executive office and the Department of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment approved by council? When was the vote?
Vote took place, it was during the month of March, was it? Correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon, because we had it as a part of a budget
I
amendment.
think it was.
Was that March or April?
It was either March or April.
March or April during that meeting. It was a part of an initiative that we had to create that office. We injected the opera funds to jumpstart that office. And during that time, that money was part of the allocations that we received for opera funds. And so we took $1 million of the opera funds to jumpstart that. And that was to help to create that office and to get it going. We already actually had staff doing that work that were on board. We just actually made an office to house them in. So we already had 2 people on board who were doing housing initiatives and who were doing homelessness for a number of years. And we just pivoted and made the office. So those staff, part of the staff that's heading that office are already on board. But that office was created in the month of, I would say, April. We can get the exact date, but I believe it was either the March or April when the amendment was done. And that was part of that amendment.
Okay. The focus group regarding improving the permitting department, are we investing money into this department to help support them better?
Yes, I'm glad you asked about our focus group. We're actually due to have a follow-up meeting on June the 17th. Is that the Saturday? That's on the Saturday coming up next month. We had actually our first kickoff meeting with our focus group that came out of the planning and community development town hall meeting that was held back in February. And so the consultant on board, Turnkey Solutions, held the meeting between we had 40 people initially came to our planning town hall meeting. We made them a part of that group along with other residents who have jumped on board. And then we held that first meeting in April. And from that meeting, we had our focus groups split up in 2 separate groups. The facilitator meeting was Turnkey Solutions staff. They in turn have recorded the information from that meeting. They're now dissecting the data from that meeting and transcribing it for us. And we're having our HR department, which is helping to spearhead that through Miss Iris Jesse and also Michelle Aber, who I gotta give them kudos to them. They've worked alongside our team with Taffany Guffey as well and Janice Elias. I appreciate all their work as well on it. And so we're excited about what's come out of that. And so we're going to be meeting internally with them, the Turnkey Solutions team, to talk about what came out of that. And then we're got a follow-up meeting with the focus group, which is scheduled for the month of June. And it'll be held on June the 17th, that Saturday. And so the goal will be that the Turnkey Solution will say, these are some of the ideas that came out of the focus group. And then we'll share with them and get feedback from those residents who are part of the focus group, and also have another follow-up meeting with them as well. And so from that will come recommendations that we'll bring forward for our mayor and council as to what we can do, but we want to make sure that the crunching is done. And so the Turnkey Solutions has spent the last several weeks crunching that information received from those focus groups. And we'll be meeting to have a follow-up with that focus group June the 17th, probably at 10 o'clock at City Hall. And so we're looking forward to that.
All right, Darren, thank you. Can we get a breakdown in what each person is spending in the executive category? So like the mayor, legal, etc.
Oh, okay. So
Shannon,
yes,
go ahead.
with those categories, we have our online, we have our budget, our proposed budget online. So you can see those categories, they're detailed.
And then actually, in addition to what Shannon said, in the budget book that's online, you can actually see the itemized detail for each of the departments who submitted proposed budgets for expenditures for FY 24. So it details all of the requests, the amount they requested, and the activity for which the request was made.
Thank you, Janisa and Shannon. If someone sues the city and they win, where does that money come from? I'm thinking of the police brutality case.
Okay, yeah, I guess that'll be a collab between me and Mr. King. So financially, we do budget for certain what would I call it? Legal expenses, right? So
Litigation and claim.
litigation. So and we also have insurance that covers that to a certain point.
That's exactly right. That's what Janisa said. Basically, we have insurance that covers that to a point, but there is a fund account that is part of what the legal team would make recommendations as to what would be utilized for any type of litigation matters. And that comes through our legal department, who makes all the recommendations.
Thank you, guys. Where does the hotel/motel tax in use noted?
Okay, when you go to our online budget, it's in our hotel motel fund, which is 275. What you'll see is the projected revenue and expenditures that relate to that fund.
Thank you, Shannon. 38% property tax. What all does that cover or help pay for?
With our property tax, it's part of the whole 100% that we use in the general fund to pay for all types of expenses. That's salary, that's operating costs that we pay for. And also it does fund some capital projects.
Thank you, Shannon. Where is the Wednesday wind down budget located?
Online on our in our our budget, our proposed budget online, you would look for city council and committees. It'll be in that category. That's Department 1110.
And the budget is located under the finance department. So when you go to the website, it's under the finance tab.
Yeah.
When you call customer care, the automated response says that they are badly understaffed. Hiring people will cost money. How much money are we putting forward to solve this issue?
Well, actually, they're also going to be a part of what we're looking to make some adjustments. We do have a focus group planned for them in the next couple of weeks. One of the things I want to see from the city standpoint is internally, how are we staffing that office, discussing it with the people who are the boots on the ground. And so we have a process in place where we're going to be meeting internally with all our teams who work in customer care and from the management on down. And we're going to talk about what are the needs that they provide, what is the current staffing issues that are going on, and then also providing for some connectivity with our residents. And so that'll be coming up next. In fact, there's a meeting that our HR department is spearheading internally to get that dialogue going within the next week or two. Because that's an area that if there's some turnover that's occurring in that staff, we said, well, we want to deal with that as well, because that's the second half of where we see customer care and our planning team, they deal hand in hand with a lot of our residents. And so that's coming up next. So the goal will be to talk with our team internally from management on down, finding out what their needs are internally, and then also coming together with our residents. And that'll be coming up next as well. So there'll be another group that's going to be going together with our Turner King Solutions team to talk about solutions to help with our customer care.
All right, thank you, Darren. Most of our parks are too small for grants. Are we making it a priority to improve our smaller parks?
It's interesting that we had that question. I just had that dialogue today with one of our councilpersons and also with Janisa. And I got to give our kudos to Shalora Pinkett, our Parks and Recreation Director, for his efforts. Also with our grants manager, which is Shaquita Barnes, who have looked into ways of finding for grants to bring our monies together to help to upgrade them. And then also provide for those parks which have the smaller ones, so as we have those areas where we can go into and have residents who live close by those areas, utilize them as well. And so that is an effort that we definitely are looking to push forward in, and one which I am excited to say that we have some programming that we're looking to spend in those areas. I know we have Milner, John D. Miller Park, which is very valuable. We use that overall, but then the other parks that we have that are out there are jewels that we want to upgrade as well. And so we're excited about that. So we are looking to do some advancements in that area.
And then in addition to what Darren just spoke about, if you weren't able to see, I believe it was our last council meeting, Shalor actually did a really good presentation on upcoming upgrades and improvements to equipment and some of the parks that are too small for some of the grants. And what we can also do is ask him to make sure he posts that presentation on the Parks and Rec web pages, because he went into detail about a lot of the improvements that are going to be upcoming at some of our smaller parks, in addition to the larger parks which have received CDBG grant funds.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, this is more of a statement, not a question. Only spending $800,000 on economic development is not enough. We need to invest in this so that the pressure gets taken off of residents to pay in property taxes. Let's see, the next question. What are the plans for the stormwater utility and flooding?
Oh,
And I
we
think
have some.
I have Melissa. Yep, he's there.
Yes. And
Yes,
there are funds. Go ahead.
We
Go ahead,
do.
Melissa.
So we collect approximately, I guess, just over slightly $2 million a year for the stormwater utility. And so one thing that we've done to combat flooding is, one, we had to do a stormwater assessment. And from that stormwater assessment, we are applying for grants, and we're also going to start actually having those projects as part of our capital improvement program. So we are constantly making improvements. We have a capital improvement project now currently underway. So we're constantly working towards that. We just have to prioritize areas that have more prone to flooding and property damage than some, versus a sinkhole forming, or maybe the line is not completely collapsed. So the goal now is just to make sure we have a good inventory, and we're going to prioritize as we collect money for the stormwater utility.
All right, thank you, Melissa.
Welcome.
This is another statement, not necessarily a question. BS&A is extremely difficult to navigate, to pull permits, submit plans, etc. It came up in the town hall with our issues in permitting. I thought we were going to make this software easier or get a whole new software entirely.
I want to say that that's on the table. I know Maurice has made some improvements to that, but in our engagement with our focus groups, we're looking at everything that deal with contractors and business owners and residents who are getting online, having to address it. And who better to ask than them? So I appreciate Maurice and having to provide for the services and what he's doing. He's doing excellent in that regard. But we want to make sure that everything is not just assume that we're going to look at everything. Everything's going to be reviewed. So let's make sure we can provide a holistic approach. And so that is going to be considered as we continue on with our focus groups. And so that very well may be part of the information that we come out of our focus group meetings when we meet in the next couple of weeks as well. So, because we have members of that focus group who have talked about these areas. So nothing is being overlooked as a possibility.
Okay. Why does the executive office have 6.4 million and Parks and Recs only have 1.9? What is this 6.4 million being spent on, and who is approving these checks?
Well, I'll answer that one, Mr. King. So with the executive office, that includes the city manager, the mayor, communication, and also includes the new office of equity, inclusion, and empowerment, and it includes legal. Legal is where you see probably most of that money is being allocated to for legal expenses, for cases, and also other whatever legal expenses they may have that they have during the year. So it's mostly allocated to that.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. Let's see, are all council members on the budget of expenses? Will you all break that down tomorrow?
We do have that online. We show each ward in the online proposed budget. So the detail, like Janisa mentioned, is there.
And Shannon, I want to add that the exact same information given tonight will be the same information for tomorrow's meeting as well.
Correct.
Okay, this is more of a statement. This is not enough information on how monies are allocated, maybe allocated
Allocated.
in this budget. You say go to website.
Yes, tonight's presentation is more of an overview of that budget. The budget that's online has more of the detail by line item for each department. So it's more, it has more information than we would present tonight.
And so Shannon, why don't we do this too as well? If there are any questions and we need to give some additional information, our emails are out there. We're welcome to provide them that information and locate it for them if they need that as well. So I'll put that out there as well. So, it's really, we tried to be user friendly of the time that we had, because we know that we're trying to do this in a time period, and then we know there's going to be other questions. So by all means, if there's any information that you'd like to receive from us, by all means, you can have our email address, mine as well, and Shannon Golden's, and we can make sure that we forward that to them and make sure they can get that as well, because it's online, but still we can do that as well, Shannon. So we'll by all means, if you'd like to email us some information, by all means, you're welcome to do that, and we can send you that detail.
Okay, and then Darren, we are close to 7, but we only have 2 more questions, looks like. Yes, 2 more questions. On the topic of economic development, what type of action items are currently in the works in regards to bringing more small businesses into the downtown East Point area, especially a grocery store?
Well, we have a couple of things on the plate. I know Janisa has been working on our commons development, where we are having a public-private partnership with MindMatch. And I don't believe we can talk about all the people who are currently engaged right now. Janisa, at this point, what's your thought on that? I think we can right now, but we can talk about that area right across the street. If you know that it's about how many acres? We're talking about 7+ acres right now, Janisa?
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
9 acres. Excuse me. And I would encourage everyone who's listening or watching tonight, I would encourage everyone to please come out to the community meeting on June 1st at 6 o'clock for the commons development. The development team should be able to give everybody more information as to designs, what the site will actually look like, and they'll be there to answer any questions pertaining to tenant spaces or any other questions you all may have about the development itself. So that'll be on June 1st at the City Hall Annex at 6 o'clock.
And MindMatch representatives and the contractor, they'll be there
Yeah.
too, Janisa?
Yes,
Okay.
they're all supposed to be there.
Okay.
Okay, the last question we have is about the city attorney. Are we saving money by having our city solicitor the same person as the interim city attorney? When are we going to hire for a city attorney?
Well, I know the city's been taking applications for that, and our mayor and council has been reviewing those applications. I'm thankful from staff's perspective that we've been able to utilize our city solicitor to serve in that capacity, and we thank him for that. The mayor and council have been reviewing those applications, and they will give us a determination as to what, or whom I should say, they like to bring on board. So that process is underway as we speak.
Okay. And one more question. blight tax, how much are we getting from this and are we actually collecting this now?
Denise, can you answer that one?
Yes, I can actually go back and check and see how much we've collected so far on the blight tax. But yes, we are collecting funds on the blight tax, which is assessed on each person's property tax bill who has property that's been identified as blighted, and they've actually received a notice regarding the condition of their property. So we are receiving funds on the from the blight tax. And I'll try and have a number available at tomorrow's meeting to just kind of go
Thank you.
over how much we've collected so far.
Thank you, Janice. I appreciate
you.
that.
And I do want people to kind of know it's a blight tax. And typically property owners who have uninhabitable structures are people who are typically hard to find or reach. So if anybody had a perceived amount in mind as to what we probably should have collected, I just want to put that out there that typically those are the property owners who are very difficult to reach, but I will have a number for you tomorrow at the
All right, thank you, Janisa. We have a couple of kudos. Thank you all for answering so many questions and remaining professional. I know it is not easy. And we have a thanks, see you all tomorrow night, face to face.
Thank you. Thank you, all of our residents. I want to thank all of you all joining us on a Monday evening. I know that you could have been somewhere else and we don't take it for granted or take it lightly. So I also thank all of our residents, our business owners, our mayor, council, all of our staff, Taffany Guffey, our senior manager analyst, our deputy finance director who's serving as our acting finance director, Mr. Shannon Golden. I want to thank also our IT director, Maurice Price, our water sewer director, Mr. Echeverria, our other staff who joined on board. And also I want to thank my deputy city manager, Mr. Nisa Elias, all of them and all of our residents and our mayor council, because without you all, we couldn't do our jobs. And I just want to thank you for joining us for this evening's meeting. Once again, we will be meeting in person tomorrow. So for those of you who would like to see us and come to see us in person, we welcome you to come tomorrow night, same time at 6 o'clock at our City Hall Council chambers. And we'll be happy to meet you in person as well and to see you. And thank you for taking time to visit us tonight. And then also, if there's any information that you want to receive from us as a result of this meeting, by all means, feel free to email us and we'll be more than happy to reach out to you. My email is dking@eastpointcity.org. That's dking@eastpointcity.org. And I'll be happy to forward that to any one of our staff members as well, who can give you some information on that. So we just want to thank you once again for joining us. And we look forward to having this year's budget go forward. Once again, also just a reminder, the next public hearing will be held on Monday, June the 5th, at which time there'll be the second reading for the proposed FY24 fiscal year budget. And there'll be the adoption of the FY fiscal year budget for FY24. And so we're excited about that going forward. So if you'd like to participate and come forward and speak at our public hearing, you can do that as well on June the 5th at our regular council meeting, which is at 6:30 in our City Hall Council chambers. And so is there any other questions, Taffany? I want to make sure that we're okay just before I move on.
Yes, it's one more. I had told
Okay.
you guys will email it, but since you asked.
Okay.
If we aren't able to collect the tax, then shouldn't we be able to seize their property? Wouldn't that mean that they are behind in their regular property tax if they are so hard to reach?
So one thing I will say is we all have to remember that Georgia is a property rights state. So it is not as easy as people may think to just go after and acquire somebody's property through a foreclosure sale, which is what we would have to pursue. It would be a foreclosure, but that's not as easy as people think. I would have to yield to an attorney to really, and our property tax manager to really go into detail as to how that process works. But it's not as easy to just go after and foreclose on a property and take possession of it, similar to what we're even having to do when we go onto a property to actually just cut the grass and board it to make sure that the property is secure. The city has to go through a court process to even get permission to actually go onto a property because we do not own it. So it's a little bit more legal requirements if we were to pursue actually going after and foreclosing on properties and taking possession of them, because then we create a whole new set of issues if the city actually takes possession of the properties themselves. I hope that
That's
helps
a good-
a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question too, Denise, because, we definitely are being aggressive as we can, but also understand that the property owner, in spite of what they do, still have their rights that
Mhm.
the state of Georgia does provide for them. And that is a fine line we have to walk.
Mhm.
All right. That's it, Darren. There was a statement saying these meetings should take place more often to explain to our stakeholders. And there was a shout out to Councilmember Cook.
Well, I love to do that. In fact, shout out to Councilor Cook, who's also our Budget and Finance Committee Chairman, who's been a valuable resource for us, along with our Mayor and Council, but he, as our chairman, has always been there for us. We thank him and all the members of our committee who are mayor, and also a couple of council members, Councilmember Sharon Sharpshire and Councilmember Karen Renee are serving on that committee, along with one citizen member as well, who's been very helpful for us. So thank you all for that. And I appreciate that greatly. And I think we should have some more, and we may just do just that. I know we have do this in the fall, but that's something we'll definitely take in consideration, because now that we're in this ability, we can do a virtual meeting. It's much more easy for our residents to connect to us, because we know our residents and business have such hectic schedules. We'll definitely take that into consideration. I thank you for mentioning that, and we'll definitely look at that as something to do in the future.
Yes, and I promise this is the last thing, Darren, but we do have Fire Chief Thornton on as well. We didn't acknowledge him earlier.
Well, I want to acknowledge Chief Corey Thornton, Fire Chief Thornton. I know you're there. Thank him. And I know Chief Buchanan had a prior commitment. And so thank you for being here for us this evening, Chief. And thank you, Taffy, for acknowledging him before we got off. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Well, all right. Well, thank you all again for being with us this evening. Once again, if you'd like to join us tomorrow, we are meeting again in person at the City Hall Council Chambers at 6 o'clock. We'll have another presentation, and we'll be there to also greet you and meet you at the same time. And thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you for being part of our online City Managers Spring Budget Open House, and for joining us this evening. And we look forward to seeing you again. If you have any questions, reach out to me or any of us on this call, on this online meeting, and we look forward to seeing you again soon in the future. Thanks so much.